right, welcome in. This is SNN Street News Now, Six Guys and You. We do this every Thursday, 9 p.m. East Coast, 8 p.m. Central in the middle, and 6 p.m. West Coast time. And as always, great to be with you. Always great to get ready to chop it up, what I call the Masters of Intellectual Chaos. So our fearless leader, Lee Michaels, will be here momentarily. Mike Love is going to change his name probably by the time he gets here. Let me bring on the cohorts that are here to get it ready to make it do what it do. First of all, put your hands together for Dr. Ron Ford.
Top of the evening to you. What's going on?
Yeah, it's topping. It's topping. How you doing, sir?
Man, I'm still alive. You know, that's my favorite story, brother. I'm still alive.
And if you heard the story he's told me over the years, you'll get the moniker. Because he should have croaked the fruit. I'm telling you. Yeah, one day you got to do that, man. Just tell a couple of your stories about your near-death experiences, man.
Hey, you know, I think the more important stories are the ones that caused me to still be here. You know, I did overcome. Okay.
Oh, yeah, exactly. In more ways than one. So good for you.
Yes,
man.
sir. Yes,
Yes, sir. Also, let everybody know that you go to our YouTube channel, SNN-Street News Now. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share. Also, catch us on Facebook Live, Twitter, and Twitch as I bring in Professor Reggie Miles. What's up, Professor?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
I got to go out and come back because something is happening and I don't have the right whatever. But I just want to say thank you. I'm glad to see Dr. Ryan. Blessings to you, man. I'm glad to see you. Dr. Bates, blessings to you and glad to see you all. Man, I've got a little extra responsibility at the church now. So like I'm like doing more audio. So oh boy, things is about to whatever. But I'm gonna still hang in with the guys. Okay. And I'm glad to be here to participate with you. Happy Mother's Day. Let me get this, say this.
Go ahead.
Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers that's coming up this Sunday. And hope everything is gonna be good for each and every one of you and your family. So look, I'm gonna run and I'm gonna come right back.
Sounds like a plan. Do you think, Professor? Come right back. So as he's about to jump out and come right back, we bring in the Buck of Wild, Mr. Buck Wild.
You know what? I thought earlier, I thought Dr. Ron was going to say, well, you know, and I actually did die a couple of times, but I'm back. I was like, okay.
Near death counts.
That's a testimonial right there. Yes, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. Death counts. Okay.
Death can't hold me back. I'm like, Jesus, I ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
Ain't my time. Still got work to do.
Yeah. Now we got Jamie Gill in the house tonight.
Hey, Jamie, how you doing? Good to see you.
Yeah, she's popping in.
Now, who was this? I mean, see
again, that would be me.
That's you. Okay.
Yeah.
See,
before you give a long speech, you know, because I have no idea why
me neither.
Doing that. Val had that same problem a little while back, but I can see my name in the comments section on the chat. But when it posted here on StreamYard, it's showing up as a Facebook user.
I don't know why is that.
Yeah, I don't know. The last couple of weeks, it's been doing that on StreamYard.
Because this is from your YouTube, right?
Yeah, from YouTube, it's showing up as my regular name. So I don't know. I've been researching that on a regular for the last 2 weeks, and I still have not come up with an answer. You know,
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Do I look greasy?
I think you would have to feel yourself to determine that, sir.
I mean, I was just eating some fried chicken. You know, I was like, I don't know whether or not my face is greasy. I'm not looking at my picture. I'm looking at the camera, so it's kind of like, am I greasy around here?
Hey, feel yourself, brother. Feel yourself. You know,
I know it is weird. We're going through such a heat wave too, and it's like 95 degrees up in here.
Oh,
and I'm just like, shit.
Hey man, y'all don't have air conditioning in the building you live in?
You know what? I refuse to turn it on because I know it's about to get cool again next week. So I'm just gonna bear with it right now. Although I may have to excuse myself, like the professor did, and go turn that bitch on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I wouldn't blame you, but I can't stand heat. You know what it is? The heat and humidity combined. I can't take. Right. That's like hell hot. Ooh, wait, am I greasy? Bro? It sounds like an old blues song.
He asked that question, didn't he?
Right.
I'm like,
Well,
the hell would we know? I'm like, you
can see me.
800 miles
Can you guys see me? Can you see me?
in Chicago, and I still can't tell whether you greasy or not. Okay,
Oh,
that would be a
that's-
question. Let the dog lick your face or something and tell you whether you're greasy or not.
That would be a negative.
Right.
That's not going to happen. That's not sanitary.
If the dog likes the flavor of your face, then
No.
you're greasy.
That's not sanitary.
Got that right. I don't, no offense to people with furry children.
Oh
but
my God.
I can't get down with that, man. But
Oh yeah, I don't let
like
my dog lick my face. Hell no.
No,
That's
hell
nasty.
nope. But going
So,
back
you
to
know
the
what-
whole thing about being shiny and new real quick, it's like a blues song. It's like, oh, man, it ain't easy, dun-dun-dun-dun, to be greasy. Oh,
But
Lord.
there's a myth going around that said dogs' mouths are cleaner than humans,
I
and
don't
that
believe
is
that.
it's complete BS.
Yes.
Yeah.
When Brian Williams was doing the nightly news, he had a story on that. He's like, yeah, you've heard blah 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 blah. He said it's just simply not true. Dogs are nasty. I was like,
Yeah.
that's right, they are.
Well,
and
I
my
mean,
dog is the nastiest.
It's obvious. Okay, let's just keep it real here.
I know they lick their butts.
Right. Anytime an animal with four wheels takes a crap and then turns around and wipes his butt with his tongue, how in the hell can that be sanitary
No,
for
yeah,
a human
right,
being
no.
to go, ooh, lovely
Yeah.
doggy, 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 doggy?
Yeah,
You
my
know?
dog knows better than lick me in my face.
Thank you.
Oh my
Okay.
God.
I
That's
understand about
crazy.
the dog improvising. It's like I got my own toilet paper. I'll do it myself, but
Well, they don't have
as far
hands.
as it goes, Doc.
But they don't have hands. That's why they do it.
Exactly.
The mouth are their hands.
Not
Yes.
just dogs, cats,
Mhm.
lions.
Right.
You know,
We're the aren't we and
bears. Oh my.
and monkeys are the only ones with hands, right?
Yeah.
Am I right on that one?
Now monkeys are smart about it. They'll grab their turds and throw it at the people at the zoo.
Sure do.
Is that smart? I don't know. Is that really smart?
Yeah,
I'm like, I don't want this shit.
You standing there taking their pictures, talking about smile, cheetah, smile. That motherfucker all the shit and throws it. I think you get the point. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Like that song, "Smile, bitch, smile."
It reminds me
that's
of that
funny.
scene real quick in Cooley High. When they all left school and ditched school and went to the I think it was Brookfield Zoo or something like that. Man,
Right.
that monkey took like a handful, like a baseball, and was put on together all around, smack right on boy's white shirt, man, and he stunk like crap throughout the whole time. They had to get on the CTA bus, and he's on there, and man, it was goddamn
Oh
ridiculous.
man.
Hey, you remember just a couple years ago where that baby got lost, fell into the monkey pit,
Yeah.
and they were all scared, and didn't they end up putting that gorilla down? I think they did. The baby got loose in there, and the gorilla didn't hurt the baby. It was like, oh well, you know what? It's a gorilla. It's black. Let's kill it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
It's
It's like
black.
Yeah. Look,
brown. Sorry, it's brown.
yeah, speaking of Cooley High, I did a Black History moment this past week talking about the reunion that they had of all cast members of Cooley High
Yes.
in LA on last week. And man, the ages of those people that were in that movie, the cast, man, they were like, wow,
Scary, yeah.
Yeah, well, the anniversary of the movie, it came out in the mid 70s, 1975 to be exact. And that movie was a classic movie speaking about the South Side of Chicago and teenage life, and it had a tragic part to the movie, but I still would say it's a family-friendly movie. If anybody has not got a chance to see that movie, go check it out. It was really a lot of historical people. I even might have saw the professor in there.
Yep. You did. I started grinning, especially at the quarter pot. Man, especially at the quarter pot.
Before they broke the brake
Especially
front.
pulling that move when my boy was coming up the stairs and his girlfriend was on the door and Priest and them had to get in. So he went on and put the Mac on her so they could slide on in there. But she said, no, I still want my quarters. Oh, yeah. I was in there. I was in there because, the lights was out and, I was over there in the corner somewhere.
Yeah. It was a classic. It was a classic movie. And a lot of stars, a lot of people that went on to be stars, very, very good movie.
So how about, so my mom has, I built her a little computer so that it could hold all of these movies for her because she's in an assisted living facility and so all she does is sit around and watch movies all day. So I'm just like, I started off with a bunch of movies from the 40s and the 50s. She's 93. 40s and the 50s. I'm like, oh, that's cute. She's like, I don't want none of that old shit. It's too old. And so I started giving her more modern movies. And the other day I put on Friday. And I was thinking, maybe this might be a little bit too vulgar for her. And she loves it. I'm just like, I guess it's just something about Chris Tucker. And I didn't like Friday, the second Friday, the next Friday. That was kind of whack. But then Friday.
Oh, man.
Friday after next, the third one was really good. The one with the Santa Claus and Mike Epps. But she was tickle pink because she loves Chris Tucker. Hey man, she just loves Chris Tucker. I got her Chris Tucker's stand up that he did. I think it was an HBO, a Netflix special, and she just loves because he just got this personality. So he's got a winning personality.
Absolutely,
really does.
Yeah.
So
now you got to go out and get all of those hip hop movies that would really enlighten her,
like Boys in the Hood.
Anything, everything. All of it. You might be able to get it a Players Club, everything.
Oh well, come on now, the Players Club. Not the Players Club.
Claude have mercy.
Come on.
You can't have the Players Club.
I'm not sure about that one.
Hey, man, they had a lot of stars in it, man. Bernie Mac,
She didn't know none of them. She don't know none of them.
She'll know them after she watched that movie.
She's got Alzheimer's.
Well, how to be a player.
There you go.
Oh yeah, that was. That is not a bad idea. I think I might get that. That was one of my favorite movies right there. But you know what's interesting? So sometimes I put on. She was into romance movies for a while, so I was giving her all these love stories, Ghost, and Dirty Dancing, and all this other stuff. And then she's got a webcam, and I pull on the webcam, and she's falling asleep. I'm like, what? So I started getting her action movies. So the ones with the car chases and all the excited, all the Die Hards and the Jason Bournes and all that other, she'd be glued to the set like.
You know what? Seeing how your mother likes a certain movie, she just might like Dolomite. You put on some Dolomite, man, it's lights out. I mean, that's comedy gold. And you have to make the face afterwards. Like one of my favorite scenes with Dolomite, as the two white cops come after him and they kind of corner him. Man, move over and let me pass. They putting these hush puppies out your motherfucking ass.
Dolomite. I might have to do that. See how she likes it.
Exactly.
Well, what about Harlem Nights, man?
Oh, of course I got that's like classic of classics. Yeah, of course that's in there.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, I even got her some of the Richard Pryor stand-ups, like Live from the on the Sunset Strip, and Richard Pryor live in concert or whatever. She loves Richard Pryor.
Oh wow!
Yeah, she loves Richard Pryor.
Well, I don't think he never made it, but if you can get the audio of that N word is crazy. Now that first album right. That first one was good.
Yeah. Now I really wish I could get her some Old Red Fox, but he only did albums. He didn't do any movies, as far as I know.
Yeah.
He was in Harlem Nights. Yeah.
No, what I'm saying, stand-up movies like Eddie Murphy used to do, like Richard Pryor used to do. Think about how brilliant that was, right? I mean, they could do one stadium, and that'd be it. They'd probably make whatever it was back then, $100,000 on that one night. But Richard Pryor said, "I'm gonna film this and make this a movie." He's only working one night, and it went to the box office, and he made millions. That was brilliant. Don't nobody do that no more.
I think Spike got in on that. Spike did either Rich's or Eddie's stand-ups. I think Spike.
Which one did Spike do? Which one did he produce?
I'm not sure. I think he did the one where Richard was in the red suit. I gotta find out which one, but I knew Spike was in on one of them. Either Eddie
he would have been too young though. Spike is my age. He would have been too young to do that stuff.
Now Spike did produce The Kings of Comedy.
Okay,
Spike
I can see that.
Yeah,
I can see that. Didn't Martin Lawrence do a comedy movie?
he did.
Or was it by that time he just?
No, he did. In fact, his first one, when you catch him in all leather and he's on stage. In fact, he did an article I read. He said it was Eddie Murphy that inspired him because Eddie Murphy came along and made being a comedian a rock star status.
Yeah, and let me tell you, my parents. I mean, not just my mom and dad, but like all my parents at that age, all their brothers and sisters, they hated Eddie Murphy. When Eddie Murphy was out in the 80s, you know why?
Why is that?
He's got a foul mouth. He's just a kid up there learning, just like he just learned how to cuss. I'm like, and we'd all say, well, Richard Pryor cusses. Yeah, but Richard Pryor does it right. I'm like, you know what?
How you cuss right?
Well, no, you know what it was? It was the fact that we forget how young Eddie Murphy was. And he was like 23 when he did Delirious. So all of his comedy was very young, from a very young person's perspective. And they were, I was adopted by very old parents. So they were old when I was in high school. They were already in their 50s. So, their perspective was, it's too young. They didn't quite get it. So that's why, people our age, we look at these young kids and we go, oh, yeah, they're crazy. Or, we don't understand why they have their pants sagging and hanging down. And you know what I mean? Just there's a big generation gap. There was that generation gap back then, too. So,
and you're right. I mean, Eddie Murphy, people forget Eddie Murphy went to Saturday Night Live right out of high school.
Yeah.
Straight from high school right to, network television, which is unheard of. And for him to be 18 years old and be that fast, quick-witted, in the moment and at that time now, he was the right man in the right place. So when he went on to do those movies like 48 Hours and Trading Places, he put his stamp on it.
Yeah.
He really did.
But I mean, before that, but you know what? I so respect Eddie because when he did those stand-up movies like Richard Pryor did before him, I mean, it was all him.
Yes.
All him. And he did it all. I mean, that was his everything. It was all him. So it's like nobody else could take any kind of credit or whatever. I mean, it was just his comedic genius. Now, he probably had some people writing for him, at least a few of the jokes. Yeah. But you could tell that the jokes were genuine and most of them were from him. He was, and we forget how funny he was as a stand-up comedian because it wasn't much longer after that he started doing movies and didn't do stand-up anymore. Remember? It's like he was like skip for movies. Right. Yeah, he was like screw this. He's like once he started doing those stand-up movies, he's like, oh, man, forget all that. Forget television. He's like, I'm doing movies because that's where the money is.
Well, that was the thing for Saturday Night Live. I want to say this real quick. I want to get to Ron's topic so we can get started. We can revisit this towards the end. When the movies topic comes back. The thing about Saturday Night Live was that if you were a cast member that hit it big, the first thing you did was go out to Hollywood. That was the jump point. Chevy Chase, he only did one season for Saturday Night Live, went straight to Hollywood, doing Weekend Update. So if you were hot and Hollywood was calling you, Belushi, Aykroyd, everybody else goes straight to. So that was a launching pad, and he was no different. Going back to Eddie Murphy. So, and I love Hollywood. The fact that you let somebody like him improvise. Because a lot of stuff he did, Beverly Hills Cop, all those scenes that he did primarily were improvised.
They wrote it like that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It was fantastic. And Harlem Nights is just, to me, a tribute to the people who came before him, like Richard Pryor, who was his idol, and Red Fox and everybody else. Because I watched the movie now, all these years later, and a lot of these people are gone now. They're not with us anymore. Yeah. And just the fact that he put all these people together in that moment in time, people forget, this man wrote, directed, produced, and starred. He went to Richard Pryor with 8 different scripts before he signed off on Harlem Nights. That's how bad he wanted to work with Richard Pryor.
And I heard that there was some friction on the set of that movie between Eddie and Richard. But you know what? I mean, it's Eddie and it's Richard. You know what I mean? It's Richard Pryor. You know what I mean? So, by the way, before we move on, can I say, does anybody have any Mexican music or War Cinco de Mayo? Happy Cinco de Mayo! Listen, seriously, I started to take my laptop to a Mexican restaurant. A friend of mine was getting it in at a Mexican restaurant near his house. I started to bring my laptop and do the show from there. But I said, it might be a little distracting. So I just have my tequila, and I'm getting it in here with
this
y'all.
Show will go way left if all of us start to take tequila shots.
Yeah,
I don't know we want that. What do you say, Doc?
Yeah, before we leave the comedy thing, did anybody hear about what happened on stage this week when the guy bum rushed?
Oh, Chappelle.
Chappelle.
Yeah, that's my topic. Yeah.
Oh, that's your topic. Okay, good. I'll let that sit there then. Moving right along. I got something I ran across. It came across my desk. I put it in the to share. Someone sent me this about W.E.B. Du Bois, and he was making a comment in a speech that he gave in Madison, Wisconsin. I want to see, can you guys hear this?
And the American Negro.
Just a little short clip.
Democracy has so disappeared in the United States that there are some subjects that cannot even be discussed. The essence of the democratic process is free discussion. There was a time when men were not allowed to talk about universal suffrage, or the education of women, or freedom for Negro slaves. Today, communism is the dirty word, and socialism is suspect. I often refer to my education in democracy. In the little New England town where I was born, we had a high school of about 25 pupils. I entered it in 1880 at the age of 12. As I attended the town meeting annually in the spring, there used regularly to appear one of the dirtiest old men I ever saw. He was fat and greasy, and every year he made a fierce attack on wasting his taxes on a high school. I was always furious. I wondered why the citizens sat silent and let him rant. But they did. And then quietly they voted the money for the high school. There I learned my lesson in democracy. Listen to the other side. In this state and in our time occurred one of the worst blows to the democratic process which our nation has suffered. Senator McCarthy succeeded in making America afraid to discuss socialism or to recognize communism as aught but conspiracy. And this in the state of Robert La Follette. I knew La Follette and his valiant wife. I voted for him for president in 1924, and I saw him give his life fighting monopolized wealth and asking world peace. My own work at the time was trying to secure freedom and equality for American Negroes. For a quarter of a century, I edited a little monthly magazine, The Crisis. And despite opposition, I spoke plainly. I was criticized as being bitter, as seeking not simply political, but social equality for Negroes, for favoring the teachings of Karl Marx, and for joining the Socialist Party. These accusations were true. But largely as a result of my work, under the work of others, the Negro made progress toward equal citizenship. Progress, but not complete success. The collapse of the capitalist system after the First World War brought poverty, unemployment, and distress worse than America had ever seen.
That you get the idea. I wanted to bring that up to emphasize a point about a situation that exists in Florida. And on last week, I got a chance to talk about the Republican governor, Ron DeSantis, and what he is striving for in the state of Florida. He's looking to turn back the hands of time to a time that W.E.B. Du Bois lived in and fought for equality and change in his era. And some of the things that he just mentioned in that, speech, I couldn't get the volume up any higher than what it was, but he went so far as to sign into legislature, pretty much, attacking a demographic of people in Florida, gay people. Okay. And when Disney spoke out against it, then he began to attack Disney. And on this week, I ran across an article from MSNBC that pointed out that even though he was, stupid enough to have his Republican legislature vote to take away an agreement that they had with Disney that took place back in 1964, okay, he legally can't even do it. This agreement that is in place that was made, he cannot rescind that agreement without creating billions of dollars worth of debt for the state of Florida. So nobody told him that he couldn't attack Disney. Nobody told him that he couldn't go after them. Nobody mentioned to him. They were just sucking up his butt so tough that, like, hey, this is what, we're going to do. We're going to attack Disney for protesting against my legislature that I just signed into law against the gay community. Now, like I mentioned on last week, he's not the governor of a certain demographic. He's the governor of everybody in the state of Florida. And when he attacked a certain demographic, he put himself on a target because there are people that have been objecting to him all along. He did not allow, welcome to the show, Mike Love. He did not allow.
Hi, Ron. Sorry.
That's okay. He did not allow people that wanted to be tested and get vaccinations for the disease that was floating around. He made up in his mind the majority of the people that were affected by this disease were brown and black. And he said, well, that don't affect, all of us, only a certain demographic. So I don't have to do anything to look out for their health and well-being. And then he didn't allow it to happen. He told them point blank, we're not doing any testing. We're not doing any vaccinations. It's not going to happen in the state of Florida. And now recently he just went on this rampage where he just literally attacked, the alphabet people and then put into legislature. And then Disney was bold enough to stand up and say, hey, this is not right. You can't do this. And then he came after them with vengeance. So I spoke a couple of weeks ago about the the Republican Party, you know, from from a point of revenge, from a place of revenge. You know, you cannot be elected official and have revenge in your heart and attacking certain demographics of people. So, I spoke about the Republican playbook a couple of weeks ago, and these are some of the things that are on the surface of the Republican playbook: attack, attack, attack. Okay. Um, just like now, the Republicans are trying to back out of the topic of dealing with abortions. Well, that was been their battle cry all along. We're against abortions, and now they're trying to say, well, we're not going to touch that right now because it's a hot button all across the country, protests everywhere, and they don't want to stand on the opinions and the viewpoints that they have been pushing all along. So Republicans, once again, are showing their true colors on, how not to be the leader of the general populace of people. They have a certain demographic and a certain group of people that they are for, they represent, and they're going to continue to push their agenda down the throats of people that don't all agree with that agenda. Instead of representation for all the people, their representation for whoever they declare as their people. Okay, so this was just a follow up to the commentary that I made on last week, and I tell you, it's not getting any better. This topic is going to continue to rise and rise and rise even more so till it boils over, because we've got a midterm election which they felt like that they can dominate, and they can take control during the midterm. And then what's going to happen? What's it going to look like when the Republicans take back over and they fight against everything that people, regular people like me and you, brown, black, African American, Asians, they don't have any love for any of us, and they have exemplified that in the things that they believe in and what they're putting into legislature. So I say, based off of what W.E.B. Du Bois was saying, that was a reality that was taking place back in his day. It's still a reality in this day. So that's where I was going with that.
Let me say this. You know, I don't blame them for the audience that they go after or the constituency, because every party does do that. Okay. And I blame the others who don't go out and vote, who don't use their voices, correctly, who are not pushing agendas that can make changes against this platform. And so we can sit back and we can consistently say, well, they're going after them and they're doing this and they're going to run this and they're going to do that. I'm going to tell you something. With all the numbers that I've seen, if registered voters, if we could get the turnout higher than 60%, it will make a difference. I just don't know what it'll take, Ron, to get that turnout higher, because for some reason we make excuses for things that can make our lives better up against oppositions like this. So they pick an agenda of people who are not, Leslie, who are not really concerned with what happens in the country, because they've already been given a license, in air quotes, to be who they are, if that makes sense. And if you need clarity on that, I'll break it down. But I'm just hoping that common sense will prevail for the audience or the listeners or our followers to understand that we don't have to fear it. We have to attack it. And that's what we're not doing. We cannot have 60% representation to make a change to the issues that you're bringing to the table. And it's really just that simple. This isn't complicated. What Reggie's doing on his screen right now is more complicated than what they're doing. Stop it, Professor. Stop, I say.
Man, y'all should have told me to turn it off. Yeah, man.
Man, you got me dizzy for a minute. You was going in and out. Then your studio started circling. I didn't know what the heck was happening to you. Was you in like a space capsule or something? What was going on?
No, man, I was trying to check another camera.
Okay.
I have a question. Who has never ever heard? Who else has never ever heard W.E.B. Du Bois' voice before?
This is my first time.
My first time too. I was wow. He sounds smart. I mean, I knew he was really super educated, but he sounded like so sophisticated. I mean, we've all read his books, at least one of his books. I know I've read one of his books, but I mean, it's just like, wow, that was really cool.
Yeah, his voice speaking up for, like he said, the Negro, because that's what we went by back then, was the Negro. The government used certain words that they made offensive and made people afraid of. And that same tactic is even used today to address some of the things that, we addressed with today. Like when Trump was campaigning, one of the things that he emphasized was Black people are going to move into your neighborhood and rape your daughters and wives. Those are fear tactics. And those fear tactics went all the way back to his day. So this is a battle of being aware and being conscious that has always been there. And even in addressing it, looking at how aggressive Ron DeSantis is in attacking different demographics of his state. Now that's just his state, in the state of Florida, to the point where anybody that objected to him, he attacked them back.
Well, can I ask a question, Ron?
Sure.
Why are we concerned? I mean, because you're not the only one, but why is everybody concerned about what this guy in Florida is doing? It's Florida. It ain't Chicago. It's not Illinois. It's not Georgia. It's not Texas. I don't give a crap about what he's doing down there, just because of the fact that it doesn't affect me. It doesn't affect my state, my neighborhood, my community. Why are people so concerned about him, about this one guy?
Well,
I don't get it.
The reason being because he's setting an example of what he's been able to accomplish as the governor with control of his state legislature to be able to put things in place that others are following that pattern.
Okay. Oh, like maybe what he's doing there, maybe everybody else will go, hey, well, he could do it in Florida. We can do it here in Texas.
All right. And they have.
Is that what
they have done? They've done it in Texas. They've done it in Georgia.
I could understand the whole thing about abortion, because that's going to affect every state. Well, it's going to open up things in other states where other states can, if this actually happens, where the states can decide whether or not abortion is legal or illegal, or how illegal, or when it's illegal. But, one little guy down in Florida, it's sort of like how everybody's always talking about Joe Manchin. Now, Joe Manchin, he has this, Senator Manchin has this, this traitor type of power over the Democratic Party, and I understand why people talk about him, and he's only one man. But Florida, one governor in Florida, it's a big state, yeah, granted,
but it's political grandstanding,
mm-hmm.
and the politicians have learned that if they do it, it gives them self-power. And so what's happening is they're making us believe that they're following a group of people who want us to go back to 1930, 40, 50, and 60.
Yep.
And trust and believe me, the constituency isn't that large. It's not. The problem is that we will not, for people who want to move forward into the 21st century, will not go out and exercise the rights that they have. And it's really, really bad.
Maybe the problem is that, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but maybe the problem is the fact that people are so concerned. And I hate to say I'm probably one of them that's more laser focused on my own life and my own problems in my own world. Yeah. And maybe that is the part of the problem. Right. Exactly. But
it's a big part of the problem. They don't care anything about that. They're not paying any attention to it. The constituency that 45 thought he was going to use to get reelected, they didn't vote for him. They didn't care. But once again, when we see something like that, we seem to pull back and feel like, well, okay, see, we didn't have to go out and vote. It didn't matter. Every time you have an opportunity to vote, you should do it. Have I missed a couple of times? Sure, I have. But I know.
But did you miss it when it was important? When it was important to you and it was going to affect you?
I voted
exactly.
Right. I've voted in every presidential election since I've been able to vote.
And when it's something that's going to affect you, yes.
Yeah. But once again,
and that's the issue, because most people don't follow through with the local elections as a sense of urgency and priority as they should with the presidential elections. Okay, because presidential elections only elect just that, presidents, but the local elections are the ones that we are sending to Washington, D.C. to disturb the balance of justice in a lot of different ways, because we need people to make voting changes in their states so that we can have a working Congress to be able to accomplish more. And the agenda of the local elections set the stage for what goes on in Washington. And a lot of people don't realize that the president does not effectively run states on a local level.
Correct.
He only runs the country. That's why, Obama got a bad reputation, because they say, well, he didn't do enough for Chicago. Now, you go anywhere, south side, north side, east side, west side. Well, he ain't doing enough for Chicago. Well, he was not the president of just Chicago.
Right.
Okay. He was the leader of the United States.
Right. And
what he had authority over, he did operate the best he could with the opposition that he had. And could he have done more? Could he have tried harder? I'm sure he did.
But you can say that about everyone that's been president. Could they have done more? Could they try harder? Well, depending on what the agenda is at that time.
Exactly. Because the powers to be, like you said, it's very important that we vote on every election. I haven't missed any elections, because I want to be able to raise hell in my local area, just like I do on my national levels, and I want to be able to say, yeah, I voted for you, or I didn't vote for you, and this is why. It's important for us to be able to exercise our vote. And especially now, we need to build up momentum. We need to talk about this issue on a regular basis. We need to get Stacey Abrams all the support we can get her. We need to let people know what the agenda of the Republican Party is, so that we can say, hey, come on now. Do we want to go back to where women can't vote? Do we want to go back to women can't smoke? To women can't do anything?
Can't drive?
Can't drive. I mean, they look, according to history, they didn't get privileges until after black folks. Come on now.
Yeah, they came in second in the whole race. Let me ask you a question, and I'm going somewhere with this. Did I read today that now we have a black press secretary?
Yes.
Okay, and it's the very first one?
As far as I know, yes.
Yeah, I think that's because I just saw a notification pop on my phone, but I was driving.
Now that's cool.
Yeah.
That's
But
cool.
see, the thing of it is, we got to push these agendas, and we have to get past these first. Because
is it a man or a woman, by the way?
It's a woman, I
It's
believe.
a woman, yeah.
Yeah, it's a woman.
I hope she's hot. Just saying.
He stepped in.
I'm just saying. They usually have. The women are usually kind of hot. Well, fairly hot. Trump, you know what? That's one thing about Trump. You may hate him to death, but he always had a hot female press secretary, didn't he?
Well, all his women were perceivably hot.
Right.
At
You
whatever
cannot
level.
be mad at that. That's one thing. Just only one thing.
But it's
Can't
not
be
the
mad at.
agenda.
I know,
You're
it's
right.
not
You
important.
can't be mad, but it's not the agenda. And that's what the problem is. And the thing of it is, if we don't try to super serve what Ron said as the agenda, we have to look at these things and understand that we can suppress what they're doing. I don't remember if it was you, Buck, or if it was Ron, but when we're talking about the how large DeSantis wants to be or whatever the case may be, it's just political grandstanding, because I think Ron made an excellent point. He's just over the state of Florida. Anything outside of that, he has no agenda. Okay.
I got a
correct.
I'm sorry. I got a question. I got a question. I want to ask a question.
I think you should ask a question.
Does this dude have any aspirations to be president?
Yeah, of course he probably does.
Who?
I don't know if he's made it public, but I'm more than sure he does.
Who?
So, in other
DeSantis.
words, so he's like, let's look at other presidential candidates, and let's look at what their agendas are before they're announced. Okay, with the exception of, with the last president or whatever. But it seems like if this guy is going to, or if he's thinking about going forward with the with aspirations to being a president, then his first move is to make sure he gets that, what they call it, that southern belt, that belt around there.
Yeah.
And so he got to play ball with everything that they want.
Or that is perceived that they want, because a lot of that perception is dying, just like those people who represent it.
Well, but if that be, I'm hoping I want to agree that that's true. I'm not going to refute that. Let me say
I know what you're saying. Yes.
But then, why do they keep using it all the time?
Because that's all they have. Each party has planks. These planks represent the people who they say that they're representing. Whether it's abortion, if it's, civil rights, whatever it is, the Democrats have planks, and that's what they go to the conventions for. I'm just speaking. I know you know all this. And the thing of it is, when they go back and they look at, they can't go with the same agenda that the Democrats have. They have to carve out a place for them to have their own audience. Because if they did, nobody would go to the conventions. Nobody would vote for them. So they have to come up with something. They have to come up with something that's different than what's already on the table.
So I think then maybe that might be the new education that we need to push, and go back into the era of that great poet from the group Public Enemy, Flavor of Flav, who said, don't believe
the hype.
Don't believe.
Yeah, that's so appropriate. What you just said is so appropriate, because that's all it is.
Yeah. So how do we de-hype our own people? Or how do we see? Because I look, and y'all know I want to, Chris Bates, I want to CUSS, but I'm not going to do it.
I understand.
It seems like
CUS.
Cuss.
It seems like,
damn it,
Americans need to have a great diet of BS. It's like we just thrive off of having this diet, this stuff added to our plate called BS.
Because it's fun.
It's as if we can't exist. We eat so much BS that our thought process becomes BS. So how do we wean the people away from wanting to accept so much BS?
You can't
Because all of it that's coming down the pipe, from what Ron said and everything, ain't nothing but BS. And we all know that. We all know that because W.E.D. Du Bois was fighting for this way back, in the 20s, 30s, and all this kind of stuff. And we see this all the time. We can go as recent back as Mr. Reagan as president. Every time that word with an S comes out, it becomes a bad word. Mm-hmm. And before the S word, there was the C word. Anything that reflected the masses working together to uplift themselves is against what this country is all about. Even though we say on the one hand we for the masses, but no, we know that this place is for the elites.
Yep.
We know this place is for the few that's gonna make this money. And the masses, many of us are selected to become, one of them from the upper class sees us and say, well, I'm gonna give that Negro Reggie Miles, I'm gonna put some money in his pocket, and then all of a sudden I'm gonna pledge allegiance to that flag. Yeah. But we all know that, but we gotta put that on the table so our people can recognize BS and decide, and at least we got to start saying, bring me some better BS. In the BS that we getting, we got to start getting some benefits from them, because they just throw BS down. It remind me, Bass, here you go. It remind me of the scene of King Kong versus Godzilla, where King Kong take the tree and just try to put it down Godzilla's throat.
Try to choke him.
Yeah, and so we get choked up on this, and it's to the point where we get within our own families and we get within our own communities, and we arguing about which is the best BS, the BS from the blue side or the BS from the red side.
Come on now.
But see, it also reminds me of the scene from the Cosby Show when Vanessa brings Dabney's home, and Bill has that great scene in the kitchen about how you were presented. So the whole steak dinner with the sides of potatoes and vegetables, everything else, and you take a garbage can lid, put it on there, and serve it up. And that's how we've been served up. We've been served up garbage to the point where we have to reconstruct our thinking and not put on a garbage lid, put on the plate where it should be, and then where do we get our information, our food from?
Right.
It's entirely up to us.
See,
and so, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. And I mean, you cold-blooded, Bass. That's what I wanted to say.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
It's like fast food. It's like fast food.
And another living example of that, we've got a brother that's in the Senate right now that's doing a great job, Reverend, that got elected the last time, that
Warnock.
Warnock. And then they decided to send down there Herschel Walker to compete against him for his seat.
I mean, because they want to split the black. They want to split the black vote. I mean, we've seen that play by play over and over again. We've seen that. So somebody needs to put out. I wish I was that strong enough to write it, but somebody needs to put out the rope-a-dopes that we get, that we go through and we see all the time. They throw rope-a-dope on us every 4 years, and then at 2 years after the 4 years, we get more rope-a-dope. And
what's a rope-a-dope?
When you just being hit upside the head with a lot of BS.
Okay, let me help you with that, Professor. Muhammad Ali used to do the rope-a-dope up.
I remember that, but I didn't know what it meant.
It's the same thing. He got you up against you got him up against the ropes. He's got his hands up, and he's doing that so you get tired.
Yeah.
So
Tire
by the
yourself
time
out.
that you keep
Right.
striking, keep striking, you're tired,
You
and then
wearing
he comes
yourself
back.
out.
There you go.
Exactly.
And then eventually you turn around and get yourself knocked out.
Yeah.
Because he ain't tired.
Yeah, he's
That's-
not tired. That's why he's learned to take it this way until you just keep throwing them punches. Because every time you throw one, you're exerting energy at a high level.
Superman's
that was,
son just did that in this last episode of Superman and Lois. He was getting his ass whooped, and it wasn't even fighting back. And then all of a sudden, he's like, "Okay, enough of this bullshit stuff."
Mm-hmm.
And then he started whipping this other guy's ass, and it's like, "Wait a minute! I thought you was getting your butt." He was like, "I was just relaxing till I let this guy wear himself out."
Well, on a side note, Muhammad Ali should get all the credit in the world for creating the rope-a-dope. We never seen anything like that before.
Nobody else does it.
And right, because he was able to put ego aside, realize how old he was. I keep telling young people when I had a conversation when I was teaching at IMS, George Foreman was Mike Tyson before Mike Tyson. George Foreman was the bigger version, was 6'3", 255 solid, whatever the hell he was, and would lay you to rest. That was his goal.
Because
But
his punches were so hard. He was such a hard hitter.
Right before Muhammad Ali died, he said the hardest hitter I ever faced was George Foreman. And so for him to realize that if I go toe-to-toe with him, I'll be, laid out myself. So let me endure the punches, because Larry Holmes at the time was his sparring partner, and just Larry Holmes lay into him, got his body set up. So by the time he had the fight with Foreman, he got tired and swung him out and went for the kill, won the championship. And so to look at, let me address this real quick, because we talked about this. Her name is Karine Jean-Pierre. She's the new White House press secretary, the first African-American lady to do so. Her job was effective May 13th.
And she's dark-skinned, too. I'm like, okay. They didn't get the little light-skinned girl with the long hair either. They went for a real sister girl. I'm not mad at that. What?
I want to get back to Buck's point, your point, Buck. You asked earlier about why we talk about Ron DeSantis, governor of Florida, why it's important. Here's the deal, and I'll lay it to you because we're all radio people here. You have to play to your audience, and DeSantis and everybody else plays their audience. So
Bingo.
Exactly.
Okay.
So whatever demographic or whatever persons you're trying to get as an audience, you play to them. So whatever format, for me in talk radio, for example, I was told up front, you're playing to mostly, if not all, white male conservatives in talk radio, and they still dominate right to this time. Right. And so when you had that, once again, go back to what Ron said about the playbook, I give them evil credit. They stick to the playbook. They'll take it and run with it and go with it. Now, again, I had a conversation with you guys before on this platform. The Democrats at times come off too weak for me, and that bothers me. I'm leaning towards independent, to be honest with you, because the Democrats just sit there and take it. And
Republicans are quick to point that out, too, amongst other Republicans, too.
Exactly.
They're like, oh, yeah. Even with Obama, they were like, oh, Obama's a pussy. I'm like, Obama?
And they have the outlets like Fox News and OAN and Newsmax.
That's
and
probably
everything
where they
else.
got it from, yeah.
Right, and so they have their target audiences that they placate to.
I mean, that's all it is. It's really based at just that simple.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And that's the thing about it. We have to understand the game plan in order to change the game. These people are within the system, but they don't want to because they have to look after themselves. They make money too. They got special interests and everything else. These people are in office, as far as I'm concerned. Not all of them, but the majority of them. We're just numbers. We're just people to get them in the office so they can make millions and millions of dollars. And we have to understand the basic premise of all this, because if we don't, we could be led to slaughter our damn selves. But we're smarter than that, and we should be smarter than that. And the people who are stupid, let them stay by the wayside. Let them stay by the curb and drink whatever they want to drink and not buy into it. But the ones who want to get on the train to make a difference seriously, and not just a slogan and not just something to campaign with, I'm talking about seriously make a change. It has to start from here, from you, and then go outward.
Yeah.
See, if they knew, one of the weaknesses of the Democratic Party is that a lot of its voters vote straight Democrat. They go right into the poll. They individualize. They just pull the button. or the lever that just says everybody on here that says that they're Democrat, I'm voting for on this ticket.
Because they don't want to think, of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
And that's a serious mistake because a lot of times you have people on there that probably have no business in politics, but they're part of a party system. Now, the same thing happens on the Republican side. But what happens is their party tends to have a stronger hold on the message that they're putting out there. You know, we've watched it with Mitch McConnell. You know, he's the senior guy and everybody else are juniors. You see what I'm saying? And they make that perfectly clear. You ain't got no power. You know, the juniors that are from here, the junior representative from over here.
Junior senator or stuff like that.
Yeah, they say it. They don't. You never really hear that coming from the Democratic side. They're all equal.
Well, they don't say it.
Well, listen. And Base, I'm glad you said that. I'm glad, Base, where you said the other side, the blue people, they tend to show themselves as being weak. Now, since we know these facts, then we need to push for some spined representation. But unfortunately, as Mike Love so eloquently points out, we don't vote and we don't make ourselves known. So if we're tired of the one-sided racist or the one-sided exclusionary tones of the reds, and then if we're so tired of the jellyfish or the spineless movements of the blue, then why don't we get a new? I'm just saying.
No, man, you said a mouthful, and it's such a simple question. It leaves you like this. You go like, why are you dealing with that? Why is this happening?
But what really puzzles me is how the Hispanics, the Latinos, how so many of them are Republican. And it's like, really? I just don't quite understand that. And I probably need to ask
you with that.
I need to ask some of my Latino friends. But you can, if you're going to tell me, I'm all ears.
Well, there's a area here in Dallas, Texas. It's called the Cities.
The what?
And it's the Park, P-A-R-K, the Park Cities. And it's Highland Park, and I forgot the name of the other two parks or whatever. And when you have, what's the word I want to use? When you have these distinctive areas, a lot of Mexicans or Hispanics who own lawn care services and do painting and different levels of housework, if you call some of these, you can go, what's the one? Like Angie. Okay, you go to those different kind of that you want to get somebody to clean your house or to help you move something or do whatever the case may be. Over 50% of those companies are Hispanic. Okay. Now, it's like, and Professor helped me out with this. What is it? You go with the hand that feeds you.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
And
so you're saying because Republicans tend to be more pro-business. That's
they
why?
Use their businesses. Okay, do you know what the Hispanics and Mexicans do in the wintertime when they're not cutting grass? They hang Christmas lights.
Interesting.
And that's what they're doing. Now, as a matter of fact, when I moved into this house, a guy reached out to me, and the guy was cutting my grass, who's Mexican, okay, and told me they do lights. You know what the bid was to do lights on my square footage is 1670. To put lights on, and they'll come out, put the lights on, take them back down and put them in a box and leave them at your house, and they come back every year and hang them. $1,400.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
N-word damn.
Okay, right. Now think about this for a minute. So if they making money off of you like this, why would you support someone who you're not making money from? That's why they lean towards them, because They do everything. They clean their houses. They cut their lawns. They do just about any low-minded service that's needed. And I don't mean that disrespectful. I'm saying something that doesn't require a lot of thinking. They're not going to put them on their board of directors.
Labor, right?
Labor intense. Thank you.
You know what? I'm not mad at that. Although, you know what's interesting is that in California, there's so many more Mexicans there, so many more Latinos there that there are a lot of them in very, very high positions. Very, where you do need to think and have degrees, and it's very. I mean,
yeah, it's spread.
They're getting it in.
They're getting it in. But that's just to answer your question. That's
Well, that
why they
makes sense.
lean towards that, because that's where they're making their money, and they're not stupid.
I mean,
Interesting.
You
vote your pocketbook. In other words,
it's cool. It's cool that they do what they do the way they do. The thing that I find interesting is that this example that they set for themselves. Okay, whenever they have an issue or something, and they want to galvanize, man, they come together, and they, whatever that one issue is, they get together with that.
Absolutely.
We have to get there. We have to get there. We can't move towards change and we're not together.
Absolutely.
See, when your hand is like this and you try to push it against a force, you're going to break every one of your fingers. Everything is going to get broke. The only way that you can get through something is that thing has to become like this. Your fist has it. And when you do this here, you can go through something. You can knock down something. But as long, we've heard the divide and conquer rule. We get that played on us every day. Because as long as we're divided, they can stay on top. And that's with all people that have a lesser means. That's how the 1% can control the 99%. Because they'll just drop something on whatever channels that they have to communicate with us. And next thing, and this is a prime example. They'll tell us that there's a division between the youth and the elders. They'll tell us that. And then our own people will start running with that. Instead of going to the youth themselves and say, well, what is this that they're saying that's between us? Let's figure it out. But no, there's no way we're going to ever solve any issues that we have within the media that we don't control. I mean, what is wrong with us? What's wrong with us?
Well, in order to get past what you're talking about is we all have to start to get along and learn how to get along.
It's a level of respect.
Yeah. And a lot of times we don't really have that. And I don't really know why.
Because our culture was broken. Okay. When our culture was broken.
And disconnect.
And the disconnect is there. When you look at Indian, when you look at Mexican, when you look at any of these other races, they're all ran by culture. There's a respect for the elder. Mm-hmm. Now, what Professor just said, when you turned around and you're saying, well, why do we have this divide? How come immediately the moment, and I got to say this, and I'm keeping it real, and if I'm wrong, I'll be the first one to say I'm wrong. But for some reason, African-American children get a certain age or get a certain position that they're in, and they forget about what mama and daddy say. But
you know what's funny is that when you talk to people of other cultures, Western civilization has had an effect on everybody.
Of course it has.
Yeah, a lot of them, when you talk to third and fourth generation from other countries, Indian, whether it be Indian, any other kind of Asian, they're all, I don't
but
even
they
know
don't
why.
lose total respect.
Not total, no.
Yeah.
Because their family ties are a lot stronger
Yeah.
than ours. But also we've been here longer too, and we've been through a lot more. When your ancestors came over on a boat by choice to escape or to seek opportunity, your family is going to be a lot stronger. Whereas when you're brought by force and then separated and your culture is broken down, I mean, it's
Oh yeah,
it's
we're
completely
broken.
different thing, right? It's a
We
completely
are
different
a
thing.
broken people.
But over time, it's happened with them too, and I think it's because of society in general becoming this, and maybe it's the internet, I don't know, but it's become this me. Everybody's focused in on themselves rather than their culture, their family, their parents, and the things that they were taught growing up. A lot of times it's like, oh man, mom, whatever.
Listen,
A lot of them are doing that same thing.
all the genius that's being shared amongst us, then let's focus that genius towards a solution to knit the broken pieces, to tie together the broken pieces.
It always has to start with
We can't change the broken pieces. We know we're broken. We know we're broken. So how can we put the puzzle back together? And we got a lot of genius on everything else but loving ourselves.
family. It all has to start with the family. The family is the backbone of every society.
I agree.
And if it doesn't
I
start
agree,
there,
I agree with that. I agree with that. But we cannot lay Hatfields and McCoys within our own communities. You know, there has to be a stop. There has to be a stop to everything. You know, I'm gonna jump to whitewashing or brainwashing or whatever. You know, they put a lot of emphasis on the greatness of what Michael Jordan did, right? And then our boy from Chicago, from the west side of Chicago, Isaiah Thomas, was painted as this, that, and the other. But when it came to being upfront on issues in the hood, the name that stood out the most was IT. Was Isaiah Thomas. It wasn't Michael Jordan. It wasn't. Isaiah was sponsoring No Crime Day. Isaiah was doing tons of things for the Black inner city people.
You're talking about a guy from the Carolinas versus a guy from Chicago.
Right. Well, however it was put down, it did not match up in the purview for Isaiah to be great because he was doing too much for the little people. He was doing too much for his own kind. See, whereas Michael was, he's doing what he's doing and he's still generating revenue. You know, Michael, he, when he was doing this thing, it's like every NBA franchise got a new stadium. You know?
Oh yeah, because people were coming out.
Right.
Mhm.
So, you know, so he's the darling. But the real stuff, right? What we talking about, Isaiah was in the front of it, and don't none of us know it. And
Yes.
we in the media.
Well, you know, though, from what I understand about and I don't know Michael at all. I don't know Jordan, but he did spend some time down in Birmingham playing baseball, and from what I heard about him is that really wasn't his personality. Getting in the community and doing good to help other people. That really wasn't him. He was more about Flash and Michael.
I mean, listen, I'm agreeing with you, but we talking about people that's making an effort to move the masses forward.
Reggie, let's take it to church. You're talking about purpose.
Yeah.
You're a church man. Talk to him about purpose. Because
I don't want to start preaching.
Yeah.
I'm
gonna let you tiptoe out of the room.
We only have 45 minutes left.
I know,
but
right?
now, you know, I just want to say things differently and going way back and laying it back with Dr. Ron, because all he was doing was throwing the seed out here for the thought. Because he's sitting back in the cut. He just smiling. He just grinning.
He always sits back in the cut.
Is the game on?
Watching the NBA playoff game.
I'm about to say, is the game on?
because Dr. Ron knew he wanted to hear this conversation because it needs to be out there.
And the game is on.
Yeah, the conversation
game
needs.
on.
He's watching the
No
game.
game
He ain't
on.
feeling
I was
no
gonna say
game.
there's no
game
game on. I checked before I
Yeah.
lost.
I was kidding.
This conversation needs to be had, and you're right, Mike. It comes down to purpose. What are we doing? This is no slight, but without us having knowledge of self and what we do within ourselves, my question is, why was all these great things that Isaiah did hidden? All the bad stuff they brought out.
Mm-hmm. Can I help out a little bit, Reggie?
Go ahead.
Michael did do a great bit of the same thing that Isaiah did, but Michael was very low key with what he did. All of those homes and communities on Madison around the United Center, he put a lot of those kids through school. He bought them shoes. He took care of a lot of those families. He did do a lot of those things, but he kept it low key. The one reason why he kept as many of those things low key as he did was because people attack you when you start, lifting up your own and helping your own.
And that's the point I'm making on Isaiah.
Exactly. Because Isaiah did those things and he became under attack. So
why do they attack you? I don't understand.
Because it's what they say, unwritten rule or written rule.
Don't take care of yourself.
Exactly, or your own.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't take care of your own.
They don't want a rich man to be giving out his money. They don't want that.
1%, the 1% will attack you when they see you taking too many of your own low-income people under your wing and doing with them and for them.
I've never heard that before. That's why I look puzzled.
It's not a part of the brand. If I can just come behind you with that, but you make an excellent point, Dr. Ron. It's not a part of the brand. And so you're going to get owners, you're going to get other influential people that goes, yeah, that's the right thing to do. And yeah, you can give them shoes and help the boys club and the YMCA and so on and so forth. But it's all about branding. When you get to star power that Michael Jordan was able to reach, now they want you to push the brand. I think it was TC or somebody just talked about the shoes. I mean, you think about Air Jordans. That made so much money. If Michael had have given every kid the age of 12 a pair of shoes from California to New York, it still wouldn't be big as the brand of the Air Jordans.
So let me say this, and we go on to the next topic about us as a people. As far as I'm concerned, we are a lost people. We're lost.
We're lost.
But it doesn't mean we can't be found again. See, that's what we have to focus on.
There you go.
We could be found again. So as everybody know by now, Representative for Dave Chappelle has released a statement regarding an audience member who attacked him Tuesday night while the comedian was performing at the Hollywood Bowl in Los Angeles. And here's the statement. As unfortunate and unsettling as the incident was, Chappelle went on with the show. Carla Sims, Chappelle's representative, said in the statement, Jamie Foxx and Chris Rock helped calm the crowd with humor before Chappelle introduced the last and featured musical guest for the evening. The man who attacked Chappelle, identified as Isaiah Lee, had a knife and is in custody with LA police.
He had a knife? Oh, I didn't hear that part. Wow.
He had a knife. Video shows Chappelle being attacked on stage. LAPD spokesperson Officer Liziv Lomeli told CNN that Chappelle had finished his act and he was exiting the stage, and a male who was a part of the audience jumped on the stage and tackled the celebrity to the ground. Lee, who was 23 years old, was arrested for felony assault with a deadly weapon and was taken to a hospital for medical treatment. That's because after he attacked Chappelle, he ran backstage and got his ass beat down by security.
That's not funny, but yes, it was funny.
It's funny. No, he needed his ass kicked to really do.
And now they're not pressing charges. Am I correct with that? Or did they?
Not at the time, no.
Yeah, they're not pressing.
They don't need to.
Right. Yeah.
He got his comeuppance.
I know, right? The victim was injured as a result of the crime. The weapon was a quote unquote knife blade, and it goes on from there. So I'm watching this when the video came out, and the first thing I thought about was the slap going back to the
I
Oscars.
knew it. I knew it. Go ahead.
Because you
The
have
publicity
people-
stunt. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you have people who look at that and say, "Well, if Will Smith can do it, then I can do it too." And
There
so
you
they
go.
get their 15 minutes of fame, and they get up there for whatever reasons, and they want to attack comedians, which is against what all I believe in when it comes down to free speech. You don't have to like the jokes. Nobody said you have to like it. If you're in a situation where you're in a nightclub somewhere, you like the jokes, you could politely get up and get out and leave it at that. But when you have someone like Will Smith on that international stage to do what he did, and you look at what happened Tuesday night, and of course, over the time, of course, you have some people doing their set and doing their shtick, and somebody get on stage and try to attack them. This has been done before, but I think All Points Bulletin has been out now since the slap. And it reminded me of someone, for people who don't know, Google a guy named Lenny Bruce. Lenny Bruce was a comedian back in the 1960s. And Lenny Bruce is out of New York. And Lenny Bruce was a fantastic comedian, but he got arrested. Why? For lewd behavior for what he said on stage. And he would be doing the set, and somebody called the cops and take him off stage and put him in jail.
Same thing happened to Red Fox.
Well, yeah.
But he had a very foul mouth at that time in comparison to comedians are saying
Normal,
those same
right,
words
right.
today,
Right.
and it has no effect. But that was like a no-no when he was doing it.
You are correct, and that's exactly what happened. So when someone like him was thrown in jail numerous times, you become a crusader, you become a point of inspiration because your free speech is attacked. Again, if someone's listening to somebody being foul-mouthed about in the 60s, you get up and you get out. Why you gonna call the cops for it? That's being petty. That's just being a punk. So
Hating.
Exactly, big time. So I can't say what I want to say. I may use some cuss words, but all of a sudden that offends you. Then don't listen. Then don't do it. And so you wouldn't have phasing into, we said earlier about a Red Fox and a Richard Pryor and those guys and gals who haven't used swear words into their storyline of doing a comedy. And even going back to what we said about Eddie Murphy. When this is taken off the table, when this is taken out of the context, and you can't take it, and you feel you have to bum rush the stage literally and go after somebody and slap them or tackle them, whatever the hell, it's not right. It's not right. I mean, to the point where not every comedian, depending on he or she, cannot afford security when they go on stage. And
But
so
that's not what's happening with Dave Chappelle, though.
Yeah.
well, no.
It's
He
a
got
little-
security. Right?
Yeah,
I told you,
he got-
security beat that dude's ass
Right.
backstage, so he's
Right.
good.
Yeah.
But what about
But see, it was
real
more-
quick? But what about the ones who are not a Dave Chappelle focus and they haven't got that level yet, and you're just trying to make ends meet and go to your local club, and you say something to somebody offended, will come up and slap the shit out of you. So it has to be protected because, again, we're talking about just basic rights. We go back to holding about Roe versus Wade. If that thing going to be overturned, that's going to set us way back. And the same with this about free speech. All of a sudden, comedians are on attack because of what happened. Going back to the slap, it's not right. If you don't like it, then don't show up. You don't have to listen to it.
Did y'all see the picture of the attacker?
Yes.
They put him on a gurney with his arm twisted the wrong way.
Yeah, because they want to break that chicken wing. they weren't joking, Doc.
They put that brother on a gurney, and his arm was facing in the direction that it don't normally move in.
Right.
Man, they broke that chicken wing all the way.
I saw a lot of memes too. The memes are funny.
Oh my God. I totally agree. Freedom of speech is something that we must continue to fight for. There are many opposing viewpoints, whether political or media or comedy. No matter where freedom of speech is being attacked, we must stand up for it. We must still be that voice to stand up and oppose, anybody that is trying to silence anybody's voice. Okay, because our voice is the most powerful weapon that we have. Okay, now some voices may be weapons of mass destruction, but some voices can be voices of healing. So, some voices may serve a purpose that needs to be brought forward, you know. And there have been many comedians, like Chris has said, and I mean, the list goes on and on and on who spoke their truth, their reality in the comedy world. Robin Williams. I mean, he's another Chicago legend. Boy, he bought out Bebe's kids. They don't die, they multiply.
Talking about Robin Harris.
Small world.
Harris. Yeah, Robin Harris. Yeah. I said Williams. I'm sorry, Robin Harris.
Mm-hmm.
But that boy, he was a legend. But it was his voice. His voice will live on in the hearts of all of us who had an opportunity to hear what he had to say. So we need to keep supporting and encouraging the voices and let people know that the freedom of speech is too valuable not to let go.
My
You
boy.
just go ahead. I'm sorry, Reggie.
Go ahead. No, I'll just wait for you. Go ahead, Mike.
I was just gonna say, one of the things that's really kind of sad is that our community laughs at the characterization of us from a step and fetch it kind of place, but we don't stand for someone who, when you're going back talking about W.E.B. Du Bois, who put together the meeting for the NAACP at Niagara Falls. And we talk about these things. We don't have any conversations about that. But if we make fun of ourselves, and every comedian has done it, it's like we're on the floor, laughing. And the joke is really on us at the end of the day. And that's very, very sad. You like you said, when we turn around and we have a characterization of ourselves being stupid, and that's the funniest shit on the planet. But when African American men and women who have made strides and who have done things that have changed our lives that are pretty much never talked about, barely in a book, and we get no credit for that.
That's true. We also individually have to understand where our priorities lie at.
Yeah.
And so if your priority is about being on TikTok and social media and getting all the attention and likes and thumbs up and hearts and everything else and doing some funky dance and I don't know, Egyptian, walk like
hey,
Egyptian,
likes are everything.
Oh yeah, but again, and that galvanizes someone who wants to be a social influencer. But again, it goes back to people who look at things differently, who want to use social media for social issues and get things out there. It's kind of funny. We said earlier in the conversation about Republicans. I was watching The View sometime a while ago, and Ann Navarro and Sonny Hostin had a little exchange. Sonny Hostin said to Ann Navarro, look, if you're so much against 45 back in the day and Republicans, then why are you part of that party? Which is a very valid question. If you don't like it so much, then get the hell out. Or some people will probably say, I want to excommunicate myself from it and not be associated with it. And go back to what you said about allegiances, Buck and Mike, when you talk about what they do as far as the seasons of togetherness and putting together, something along the lines of what they do in the wintertime and, of course, the lawn care in the spring and summer. The fact remains that if a party is just that narcissistic, I don't know about you, but I don't want to be associated with that shit.
Exactly.
I want to remove myself from it, unless I have an ulterior motive.
Yeah.
Excellent point.
And another valid point is sometimes, we as blacks, African Americans, and browns, sometimes we got to laugh to keep from crying because our realities are just that bad that they can make comic relief out of it. You know?
Well, laughter comes from pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I got a joke for y'all. Put the picture up. Put the picture up.
Okay.
And Reggie was getting ready to make a point, and I jumped in. I apologize.
I forgot. So you know,
Well, that comes with age. I'll be 65 this year. I'll be forgetting a lot of shit.
my man. You know,
Yeah, I'll be forgetting stuff, man.
You hit the wrong button, huh?
Based kicked himself out, and so I'm not.
Take my own ass
There you
out,
go.
man.
There you go. There you go. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
whip my own ass twice a day. Okay,
Yeah,
here we
yeah,
go.
Blew himself out. Oh,
Yeah.
S-H-I-T. Yeah, that would definitely be a surprise. wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. You get to the pearly gates and the brother sitting there with the key to the gate, you know, and you showing up in a Klan outfit.
When we're talking about Ann Navarro, it's almost, you know, she gets it. She's very thin-skinned. I mean, she will get into it with anybody just like that. But it's a part of her brand. See, everybody looks for that way to get attention. Whether it was Rush Limbaugh, whoever it is, they got this thing more important, and their party buys into it than it is for us to get points made, excuse me, from our side. Because we don't have, I don't want to say we don't have distinctive representation, because that would be a lie. We don't respect distinctive representation. We would rather for Professor Miles to go and be telling jokes than to be giving facts.
Yep.
And with someone like myself who worked at WLS when I was running the control board, I was trained on the Rush Limbaugh show. So Rush Limbaugh, before he got popular, used to be on tape delay, before he went live, before his stock started to rise. And what we say, going back to the words of being powerful and moving and changing, one of the lines that Rush had in the show, "Don't think, I'll do your thinking for you."
That's funny.
And he, he could be tongue in cheek, but at the same time, it's subliminal.
But he was dead ass serious, and they believed it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's what Rush said.
Right.
Exactly. Those ditto heads. Right.
Yeah.
And even Bill O'Reilly, who went through the ringer because he got sued, for all the sexual stuff he was doing at Fox News, he's making a radio comeback. So all of his Bill O'Reilly.
What
I can see that.
What did he say that was you're in the no spin zone, and he was spinning his ass.
Zone.
I
That's
mean,
right.
look,
Right.
y'all done made me cut.
Yeah.
Talking
You don't know, Bill.
You're in the
O'Reilly.
no spin zone. No, boy was spinning. Boy, but you was listening to him. You was so dizzy. You know, like in the cartoons when you get hit upside the head, the little birds be flying around.
Right.
Man.
Right.
Exactly. Tweety tweety go around.
Right. Because Bill would throw them whoppers on you, man, and he'd be hitting you upside the head. And I can imagine all his believers, all his followers, that they was walking around with, and you could see them, the birds flying all around their head, because he was hitting them upside the head with lie after lie after lie.
But he was one of the ones that you love to hate, And
the lies making a comeback. I was reading an article recently that his radio show, his new radio show, is on 58 markets and growing, and he also has commentary, also for conservative talk radio stations. So he's on the move to rekindle his career, and he's doing a good job so far. Because people want to go back to what you said, Professor. BS. How much of a BS sandwich with extra mayo can I take today?
Man, and we get it. This country, we thrive on it. We love our daily dose of BS. And this reminds me of this one BS story. Okay, and I gotta say it. I'm gonna bring it right back.
Go cuss.
Do you remember when?
Don't cuss.
Then Senator Obama was, campaigning to be the president.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a right-wing talking head and I think he's long since passed. I think he's passed. His name was Graham, Arizona, I think, but he's a talking head, and he was serving those constituents a huge plate of BS. So then Senator Obama was campaigning in the state of Ohio. And he was standing at the podium, and on his left side was the American flag, and on his right side was the state of Ohio flag. And this Republican talker, this right-wing talker, he had got a huge plate of BS. And he said, can you imagine that? And this still on the internet. You could still find it.
No, he's alive.
Not Lindsey. I think that might have been his name. But he said that, can you imagine the arrogance of this candidate, this senator, that he's going around?
That was Lindsey Graham. Yes, that was Lindsey.
Yeah, he's going around the country, and he speaking, and he has the audacity to have the old flag. Now he's in the state of Ohio, and he gonna talk about he had stars and stripes with this flag that had the O on it, which is, if you look up the state of Ohio flag, which most of us had them. Buck, you might have slipped this, but we all had to identify each state flag from every.
Oh, when you said old flag, I thought you just meant like he had his own flag.
See?
No. The state of the state's flag.
But that's what
the state of Ohio's flag had an O in it or something.
He was in Ohio, speaking in Ohio.
Right, I forgot that part.
State building. You understand?
Okay.
And the Ohio flag was there. This talking head, this conservative talking head said that he was representing, or he was bringing with him, the old flag.
Because of Obama. Oh, Obama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the sad thing that people buy into it, they don't think. I remember one time Rush Limbaugh will always preach about family values. You know, you need people to have more family values. You know, husband and wife, and 2 dogs and 3 children, and a 1.5 car, all that type of bull crap. And the man married 3 times his damn self. 3 times. Talk about family values. Again,
trying to get it right.
It's like can't get right from life. You know, hey, boss, I'm sorry, you just can't get right. So, again, if you have to do your research and know the people, going back to what Professor said about talking heads, who are they really? They're spewing out, regurgitating the crap, going back to the playbook, and to keep the message out there, or once again, to divide and conquer. And they do an unfortunate, evil job of that, because when you divide and conquer, what's it before? The first rule of magic is create what, boys and girls? A plausible diversion. Exactly, a plausible diversion. So you do the left hand, and the right don't know what the left hand is doing, because you got somebody's attention from the first hand. So this has been done since the beginning of time when it comes to government. There are more pressing issues that are going on in our lives, but when you put out the divide and conquer or the plausible diversion, this is what you get.
Yeah.
But think about this for a minute. Go ahead, Ron. I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is quick. Y'all do remember that, senator who went on to be President Obama took more abuse from everybody. They call him Arab. He's a Muslim. They call him everything. Everything. I mean, they abused him verbally like no other candidate. I mean, and granted, every candidate went through some amount of abuse, but I think he took way more.
Oh, he took a lot. I mean, even to where he went to church and his minister, everything.
Yeah, everything. Yeah, go ahead, Mike. Yeah.
You said something, Chris, that's paramount in whole discussion. Whose history is better, and who do you want to hear? Our history, or do you want to hear their history? Our history is pretty damn sad.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for an audience and you got two histories that you're going to put on the table, if you put out, it's a turnoff. Because the one side of it, especially for YT, is they don't even want to be associated with it. But it's a history that they champion because they were in the league. There is no history. Well, let me say this again. The history of slavery and prejudice is nothing anyone wants to be proud of. Nobody wants to be proud of that. So which story do you tell? And then once again, when we talk about Lindsey Graham, Mitch McConnell, and the list goes on of these concerns, they got to go back and tell the story that's appealing. There's nothing appealing about hanging people, burning crosses, racism, prejudice. So if you tell this story about how we discovered America and everything that we're doing, everything, all of the accomplishments that we made, then that story is appealing to some folks. And it's more appealing if we're talking about Americans by birth, okay, then they got a larger audience than we have.
I wonder, because the slave trade was worldwide. I wonder how other countries like England, Spain, Portugal, that also had African slaves, I wonder how they tell the story.
The same way. They object. They object. Yeah. Mike, that was a good lead in to my critical race theory point for this week. Yeah. Bring it up. Is this an
ongoing thing with you, critical race theory?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, well, we got 15 minutes left. Go right ahead.
No. It's just a picture. There you go.
Shout outs to the ancestors that slaughtered their slave masters
and sellouts.
In all caps.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, so the conservative talk show host that I was referring to was out of New York City, and his name is Bob Grant.
I remember Bob Grant. Yes, yeah. WABC out of New York.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, Bob Grant. He is the one that was questioning President Obama's patriotism because he was going around and he was in Ohio giving a speech, and this man accused him of having his own flag. He was going to replace the American flag with the Obama flag. And so that was like pure logs going into a raging fire on some of the people that had that mentality. That racist mentality, man, and that turn, and that was worse than the Chicago fire. Everything got burned up. Because on his show, there was even calls and commentary from people coming in that believed that.
But let's give credit where credit is due. That's the intelligence that President Obama exuded that brought the fear.
Yeah. Very good spokesman. I mean, he was an orator. He was an orator, man. That boy.
Going, oh shit, he got his own flag. I mean, come on.
Look, there were various times during his presidency where he broke out in song.
There you go.
Yes. He broke out
with you. Did he sing at Aretha Franklin's thing?
Yeah, I think so.
I think he sang that too. So that's what I'm saying. So think about the fear.
He was a people person. Yes.
And they feared that because if you let this dude in, it's over.
And then, like I said, that was just for them to deal with the drama, because that man put down more money and made more money for the elites. Man, I mean, he was cold-blooded.
Yes, he was.
Because he listen, he had to play the game properly.
Played
Yeah.
it well.
He had to play the game
Yes, he did.
properly because within his first run as the president,
First term, yeah.
they had a party for him. And it was a party for him, and there was people in there that wasn't on the doggone list. So he got the message.
Was it 10,000 a plate or something?
I don't know what it was, but he got the message when
Most of his parties were 5,000 to 10,000 a plate.
Yeah.
Easy, if not more.
And he was a very smart man.
Yeah.
That's
And-
where the fear was. They were scared to death because he brought it. He came with, and it looked like he could do magic tricks. He could sing. He could just about do anything. And it's like,
Yeah. And he's still that way.
oh
You
yeah,
know, even now, in his after presidency life, he's still smooth as butter.
he's smooth, man.
Yeah, he's smooth as butter.
And
Okay,
great-
But
Go ahead.
Go ahead, doctor.
and the one thing from him that we might have to wait another 400 years for.
I ain't gonna wait that long, man.
I mean, I ain't gonna be
God ain't gonna wait that long to spare.
right. I mean, it's not gonna be too soon that a
Yeah, that's
person
true.
of color is going to make it to the White House.
Not even Kamala.
it ain't gonna happen.
Kamala has other issues that blocks that. See, Obama came with no issues, and that was very hard. He had a family. He wasn't supposed to have a family. He was supposed to have been divorced 3-4 times. He's supposed to have 2 or 3 baby mamas out.
What
there.
are Kamala's issues? I'm not aware of them.
She's
She
a
was-
female.
Okay, that's problem number one.
Mhm.
She was involved in a relationship with a married man. There are different. Say that again.
Oh, I didn't know. I was surprised.
in your state. I don't know. You live.
Well, she's from my state. Yeah, California.
Yeah, that's where the affair was.
Mm.
Well, yeah, probably because she lived there.
I'm so in love. Whatever you want to do.
And wait a minute. And they said this dude was mad because he threw a campaign party and she showed up.
Mm.
And wifey was. So I think if you have, and see, that's what Obama, he came to the table clear. And then he comes to the table with a white grandmother.
Mhm.
And then even tells you that he knows that she clutches her purse when a black man comes around.
Mhm.
See, he was doing too many. I think in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, I'm so glad God saved him because I'm surprised he didn't get assassinated.
Right. You read my mind. The thing about Obama when he came into the fracture of politics, first of all, the game is not, checkers, it's chess. He wasn't doing chess. He was doing 3-level chess.
Yeah.
Like on
what he
Star
was doing.
Trek.
And-
Whiskey.
right, exactly, right. Right, Mr. Spock.
Only Star Trek people would know that one.
And
There you go.
it started at that party when them people got in there that wasn't on the list.
Mhm.
And so, by him being a constitutional scholar, he went back to 1963 and checked out what they did to JFK.
Right.
He
Exactly.
checked that out. So he went on and played the game.
Yeah.
He played the game. So nobody better not, listen, he was a great president because he lived through 2 terms.
Yes, he did.
So he
Mhm.
played the game. He
He
played
played the game. Yeah, he saved his own life.
Yeah,
did.
he played the game because if you don't play the game, you can get JFK.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're
The
not
question
careful.
is, what question is, within our lifetime, is there actually going to be a woman president?
Probably.
If not Kamala, I mean, and why not?
Only
well,
time will
history.
tell.
Yeah.
But let me say this. I know we got the remaining 10
History?
minutes left in the program.
And we
but
got
I
to
wanna
get Ron
to-
in because he's got critical.
I just
Yeah,
did it. I just did
Oh,
it.
you did?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
You
that
did it
was.
right.
Oh, he's like, oh, I thought you said he's gonna do it again.
Got two.
Yeah, no, that was the picture. That's reflective of.
Okay, that's all.
Okay,
Yeah.
there you go.
Sorry.
Yeah.
And once
Yeah.
in remaining minutes we have left, I want to get to Buck because Buck had an interesting topic in the pregame that I want to bring to the table because it affects all of us, and I'm sure we've gone through this. Buck, you have the floor, sir.
So, I do these videos to help people get jobs and sort of like a video resume, right? And I produce them for different morning shows, different job seekers. I also do them for kids who are in high school trying to get into really prestigious colleges. The colleges accept videos now, and 2.5, 3 minutes long, and it basically shows them in a good light. And there's an interview with them, and then they have some of their teachers will come on and say, "Oh, this is one of my best students, and this is why," and that sort of thing. Anyway, so I decided to do one for myself, and the people, I had some former program directors singing my praises. Not even really singing my praises, but they were just really talking about what I was like to have working for them, and and what kind of morning guy I was, and am whatever. And I showed it to a friend of mine who's black. He's a former program director, and he says, "How come you ain't got no brothers on here?" Turns out the program directors, all of them were white. And I said, well, most of my breaks have come from the white man. Most of my bosses have been white because when I send my resume and my demo tape, and in this case, my video out, oftentimes black program directors say, "Oh, you sound too white. You don't sound black enough." And they either, back in the day when it was a tape, they throw it in the trash. And now they just delete it.
Wait a minute, let me get something. Wait a minute. Whoa. So didn't a black program director in New York hire you?
Now that's what's funny. Back then, it was in to sound not black.
You
To
sound
sound
like
crossover.
you sound like you're stuttering a little bit. I'm listening.
No, back then it was. But with the emergence of hip hop radio, it's all of a sudden now you got to sound blacker than black. Ron, what's so funny? I don't understand why you're laughing so hard.
It's the way
Man,
he
how come you ain't got no brothers on the wall?
look,
Say,
it's the way he asked the question that's comical to me.
Well, I was just thinking because I know that Buck got hired by this guy named Mike Love, and he was a program director.
Can we turn Ron's mic down a little bit? I can't hear anybody saying.
Oh my God. Oh.
Go ahead. What were you saying?
I just said I know you had worked for this guy named Mike Love, and he was a program director, and he hired you. But you talking about for morning show?
Well, right, and that was early on in my career. Because after that, might have been one program director, one black program director. It was all white boys after that.
So I'm the only one that ever hired you. Black program director.
No, I didn't say only, maybe one or two after that.
man, I need to be bugging out and do the right thing. I need to be bugging out.
So
No, we need the fist. Love, hate.
now Mike's just playing devil's advocate here because he knows it's true that most of the program directors that I've had are mostly are whites. But so the question, it was a legitimate question when he noticed that, okay, yeah, most of the program directors that I had on there singing my praises were all white. But he was like, you got to have at least one brother on there. Give it a little bit of credibility. It just looks odd that there's no brothers on here. I'm like, you know what? That's a good idea. But my point, that would be a good one. I know exactly. So when I was talking about this, I'm like, for some reason, sometimes black folks tend to hate on each other. A lot of times.
So that's
And
how
it's
come
like-
you ain't got no brothers on the wall, because black folks tend to hate on one another.
Do you? Well, I got a question too, Professor. Is it
The question is why?
Is it the color of your skin? Maybe.
What do you mean?
I mean, they think maybe you are white.
They know that I'm not white.
Oh, I'm just
know
asking
that.
for a friend. That's
No, they know that. They know I'm not. You know that I'm not white, and this is a small business, so they know. They just you don't sound urban enough.
No,
Urban.
I get what I know.
Yeah.
I'm just
And it's but the point being is like, so when did it all of a sudden become a requirement that everybody had to be yo sounding like you just got out of the ghetto?
When they bought all the stations, and
Pretty much consolidation.
When they start controlling it.
But
So-
I'm thinking that there may be some hate, some hateration going on, because the white boys will hear me playing the same music and go, "Oh, he's great," or whatever they say. I don't know what they say because I'm not there when they're listening. But point being is that I don't get the same kind of. Now, if I send it to a pop station or whatever, they may go, "Oh, he sounds great," but we ain't hiring nobody black. Just because.
Can I give you a compliment?
What's that?
And I mean this from the bottom of my heart. You know I love you. And you're very sure-footed and straightforward about who you are and what you can do. And sometimes that brings fear to people. And
I believe that.
think
Story of my
Professor
life.
said it
Go ahead.
best. The decision makers, a lot of times in consolidation, aren't the decision makers and don't know how.
Oh,
See,
you broke up, Mike. You broke up. Say it again.
Say that again, Mike.
I said they don't know how to sell you to someone else. See, I didn't have to go to anybody
can see
else.
that.
I didn't have to go to anybody else. I was part of the last of the Mohicans, not to sound racist against
Sure.
Native Americans, that made decisions that came out of my office. I didn't have to ask somebody to hire you. A consultant by the name of Tony Gray, we made that decision, and we didn't have to go to Mr. Lampale, Percy Sutton, Pierre Sutton. I hired everybody. The people that were hired by me, and that's where it stopped, and that's where it started. The majority of the people, I'll say, that were African.
Say it again. You broke up again.
The majority of the people who may be African American that are not willing to give you a shot can't defend why they want to hire someone of your magnitude because you're smart, you're intelligent, and you don't sit down.
So I'm overqualified.
No,
Your
not
mouth.
necessarily.
No, you're right. Go ahead, say it, Professor.
No, it's not necessarily being overqualified. Just like what Mike said, they got to sell you. They
Well,
gotta,
okay. Now I'm not complaining about it. I'm not bitching and whining about it at all because I do other things now and my life is great. But he asked the question, why are there these white boys on here and ain't nobody black on here endorsing you? And I thought about it. I'm like, you know what? There's so few black people that I've worked for because the brothers usually tell me that I don't sound black enough. So it's kind of like I would really have to try hard. I would have to come to Dallas to get Mike on video to talk about what I was like to work with.
well,
and
you got to do what you got to do. And
right.
because the guy was right. The guy was right in your presentation. You don't ever want to be stilted to one side.
Yeah,
you got to have
Right.
you got to have a little. You got to have. If it's nothing but a drop, then nobody can say what that guy
right.
said.
Oh yeah, and when he said it, I was like, oh, yeah, that's a brilliant idea. And I hadn't really thought about it. I just had the people that worked with me the closest, and they were just all happened to be white.
Well. Listen, that's not a bad Giovanna.
It's
and
not
that's
a bad
nothing.
thing.
That's not a bad thing. That's not a bad Giovanna, and that's not a bad thing. But if you're going to be in the world that you talk about a lot, okay, you have to be inclusive of everything. So you have to add that. That is no excellence is without excuse. Without excuse.
Yeah.
You got to get Mike on there. You got to get him on there. If it's nothing but 10 seconds or whatever, 30, you got to have him on there because you don't want to be going into no spot. I mean, and if you tried to get, if it was, I'm just saying this might be a hypothetical. You know, you're going to go send it to a, you're trying to get a job at an all black station. They ain't going to deal with you. They ain't going to deal with you because you didn't include none of them. And we all know that the first 15, and Mike needs to go in there within the first 15 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to make his spot. He needs to make his, you need to have him first. Okay, just right off the top. And that whatever you're going to give him and putting it in that presentation, because we all know when we listen to tapes from somebody, if we get past, if you listen to a tape beyond 30 seconds, you know, that person got a chance. You know, if you
Exactly.
Right, exactly. And it's all about inclusion because I trust him with my life. I trust Buck with my life.
That's saying a lot.
So if I'm not on there, I'm never on there because I know he loves me and I love him. I would never even question that. But what he just said to you is real because it's your world, not mine. So find somebody black to put on there because you sending the wrong damn message at that point.
That's right.
So that's why you was asked the question. Well, damn. Only white.
Well, you know what? Nowadays, I really don't even send it to black stations because I know they're going to delete it.
And you shouldn't have to do that.
No.
I know.
And it's a
Well,
damn
look,
if
if you're doing it like that though, Buck, you playing against the law of averages.
There you go. You shouldn't have to do that.
Well, I shouldn't have to, but you know what? The reality is, from my career, it's always been black program directors hit delete, and the white boys are okay. Well, let's consider. Let's talk.
Listen. I want to that reality. I always play the law of averages. It's okay to get turned down. You know, one day somebody might see a shining light in you. So don't cut that chance out by saying, well, black people, they just hit delete. Send it to them anyway. Yeah. Mama told me nothing beats failure but another try.
That's right.
Thank you. You now see, you just said something right there. Like for my situation, my first person that hired me to do jazz at WBEE was a man named Charles Sherrill. And that was my first boss. And then I went from there to WLS. And my second operations manager, Mike Elder, was the one who trained me and put me on the air. And he happened to be white. And then I went from other stations from there. And then down the road when Urban Broadcast Media was created, our guru, Lee Michaels, hired me. So when you have those type of people who believe in you, get dejected all the damn time. But like you say, that's that one person who sees telling you, I can work with him. I can work with her. Let me get on the team. Let's make this thing go. And so, yes, dejection happen all the time. You're going to be rejected because people don't like how you sound. And then they create shit to say, oh, he's too black or he sounds white. They create that because, go back to what Mike said, I do believe it. They fear something. And maybe you're too good. I've heard it before. I'm like, how can motherfucker be too good? But it's like, okay, we won't give Michael Jordan the draft. He's too good. That's bullshit. Right. I mean, you want somebody on your team, you bring him or her on to help cultivate the team. So when you make excuses like that, it's hot air.
Yeah. Never not play the law of averages. Yeah. Never not play. You ain't got nothing to lose. I mean, if a person did sticks and stones may break my bones, but deletes will never hurt me.
Well, come on now, Professor.
That's right.
You know, so let them delete you. But you know, if there's, I would send out 100, you know, and if I get 95 of them deleted, it's better than sending the 5 and getting rejected by all 5.
All 5.
Right. That's an excellent point.
It's better. So just send it out. I mean, it's not like you mailing anything now. Don't cost you nothing.
Ain't got no
envelope. I used to send it when I was younger. I used to send everything on FedEx. It'd be $20 a pop.
Right.
Right. Man. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm telling you. I mean, just look, adapt what Scarface did, Al Pacino. You bury those cockroaches. And keep it moving.
And so the one thing that I've taught my students is what I helped to develop at one of one of the former universities. It's called an electronic portfolio. So if ever that I needed to do that, I mean, right now, I can send you the link to my private portfolio that I have in Google, you know, and that has my history with all the stuff, the updates, all the things that I've created as a professor, all that stuff. And you change it occasionally, you know, to suit the need, or you tailor it to suit the need. But I recommend to all my students that you have you keep and create a private electronic portfolio. And then I tell them, like, when you're in an interview, you're dealing with an interview, and you take them the piece of paper, and then you just sit there and tell them on the side, oh, well, if you need something immediate, if you don't want to look at that, I can give you the link to my electronic portfolio.
Hey, let me tell you, hey, I've got my resume is not a resume, it's like a bio, and it's a PDF. And it's got links to my video, my video air check, to my audio air check. It is so, it's really impressive.
Yeah,
but I don't even send it out to black PDs anymore. It's like, because I know what's gonna happen. They go, oh, it's great, delete.
He just gave you some great advice. Throw that away. Get that out of your. Don't ever say that again. Excellent.
I'm just saying, and also too that they're not there are hardly any jobs now. So it's like, you know, if by the time you find out about a job, it's already filled. They're just putting the job. They're posting it just for EO.
And it's about to get worse because they don't want to spend no more money for buildings. They don't want to pay no more rent. Yeah, you know, they don't want to pay no rent. This pandemic made their eyes get like Mr. Magoo when he put his glasses on.
Roadhog. Let me tell you, one time when I was in Birmingham, I sent out my package to a program director, and I knew the program director, and it was a big station. I was like, oh, I'd love to work at this station one day. And so I sent him. That was back when you sent out CDs, and the CD had, you had the logo and your picture printed on the CD, and it was really impressive at the time. You know, he told me that he played my air check for his entire staff, and said, "This is how you do a morning show." Damn. I said, "Well, Negro, hire me."
He couldn't afford you.
No, not that he couldn't afford me. It's just he wasn't going to hire me.
Yeah,
but he wanted to show me out. He wanted to show me off to his team. Listen, there was another PD worked in Chicago for years and years and years. I'm not going to mention his name, but I know that for a fact he would give his air checks that he got in from the really, really good talent. He'd give it to his stars and say, "Here, listen to this guy. Get some ideas."
Yeah, it wasn't surprising.
Steal him.
It's stupid. Yeah.
It's like, well, you wouldn't hire the guy because he's not from Chicago. This is one of those PDs that would only hire people from Chicago.
So Rick Potty going in the National Hall of Fame base.
Congratulations to him. That's right.
Okay, good for him.
Yep.
And then I'm wondering is there going to be any more after him? And then Bobby O.J. passed.
Yeah.
Also Helen Wooten.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know that.
Chicago legend. Yep.
Wow.
First female promoter in Chicago. Man, she was a living legend. She managed R. Kelly, Eve, too many people to name, but she owned nightclubs in Chicago.
Do any of you guys know Bobby OJ or remember hearing him on the air in Chicago? Because all I knew was from Memphis, but somebody told me he was on in Chicago. And
two stations. Yeah, BMX and JPC.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know him personally, but I was talking to somebody earlier today, Al Greer, and he mentioned the fact that Bobby was one of his mentors.
Yeah. I heard he's a good guy.
Professor?
There is a video, and I'm trying to find it, of Lee, Bobby OJ,
right?
Tom Joyner, on YouTube right now.
Bob Wall.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, there's a local program here in Chicago called Common Ground. You come on Channel 2, the CBS station, and they had all those guys on one interview, which is historic. to watch. If you get a chance to go to YouTube and check it out, man, it is historic to see all these great talent at that time on there. And Lee looks like a straight up GQ pimp.
Damn.
I mean, dude had like the chains on and the open chest, fly by night collar and everything else. I think he had on bell bottom. I'm not sure. It was the early 80s. And he
Looked
hadn't
like you
phased
should have
out
been
yet,
on
but-
an episode of Soul Train.
Exactly. Soul Train, like 60 seconds to
That's
get the Soul
funny.
Train Scrabble board, right?
Yeah.
Soul Train dance, right?
Yeah, Bass, I got it if you want to see it. If we could play it. I got it. I found it.
Okay, go ahead and put it in there. You could you
Let
put
me
it in there.
share, let me share the screen.
Okay,
Okay, share the screen.
we'll do that before we get out of here.
Or put it in the comments, because people can still see the comments.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's see. Wait a minute.
Yeah, Dave just typed. I remember him. Morning drive on WBMS going back to Bobby OJ.
Yeah, he was on the BMX, and so let's make sure I got this thing here. And okay, hold on. Yeah, I can do it like this. All right, now let's see. There you go. I got it now, baby. Here it comes. And share. Let's see. Did it come up? Oh, for sure it didn't. Everybody froze.
Nope.
All right, hold on, man.
All right. My
Like you
butt's starting to
told me
hurt.
earlier. We were seeing your
crap.
screen and the control board and everything else. But
Shit. Oh yeah. Oh, okay. That one. All right. Share that. Let's see now. What is
Uh-oh.
Go. Oh man.
All right, gentlemen.
All right, man. Let's see.
oh,
It's getting a
shit,
little bit
I
late
can't
here.
do it.
We're gonna have to do it.
We'll do it next time, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, good stuff. We show it next time. I'm telling you, I like what Mike would talk about how Lee dressed back in the day, man. You know, with the afro and everything else. The afro went down because of the '80s, but man, he still had that smooth glide pimp shit going on, man. I loved it, man.
That's when, and no offense, Ron, but that's when light skin was, you know, the kind
Hey
of the
man,
dominant.
look, we come back every now and then.
Light skin, we come back again every now and again. Okay.
I'm still waiting.
That's when
Yeah.
light skin was popular,
Look,
Jack.
Yeah.
and it was really good when you was light skinned and big, thanks to Heavy D.
Oh,
You know,
there you go.
Heavy D, Heavy D, Heavy D, Heavy D.
Oh man.
Because the last time was when I was in high school. So
And I'm telling you,
Even
early.
it's interesting. This, you know, it could have been 6 light-skinned guys and you had things gone differently with our different hues and everything else. You have been connected to Street News Now, SNN. Catch us every Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, and 6 p.m. on the West Coast. Make sure you go to the YouTube channel, type in SNN, Street News Now. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share. For Dr. Ron Ford, for Buck Wild, for Mike Love, for Professor Reggie Miles, and for our guru Lee Michaels, I'm Chris Bass, and take care and continue to be peaceful.